guys, I am finally getting around to planting these beautiful lithops that my friend Erin sent me. I got so sick on top of the normal sick that I usually am, and then right after the day after Christmas, our whole family got a bug of some variety, and I am still recovering from that, and this has been the first day all week that I've been able to sit up at a table. So I am here very excited to get these guys potted up finally, and I thought I would just do that with you. Now I am going to pot these guys in these lithops in Gritty Mix, which I have gotten mixed reviews on whether messemes do well in the Gritty Mix because of the bark or not, and some people say it's fantastic and other people say it's terrible. So I thought, well, you know what a perfect time to try it out. Now, since the last video where I showed these guys just the day after that I unboxed them, I believe, a few changes have occurred. They've shriveled a bit more because they've been waiting to be potted, which is to be expected. And a couple of them have opened up a bit. So with these guys, I had mentioned that I'm going to trim the roots. These roots feel pretty great, and I'm just going to trim that and look. Yeah, but inside them they're brown. So while it seems like leaving these on would be the best option because you don't want to cut roots off, if they're not alive, they're not doing us any good. All right, but we're back down to alive there. So we're just going to trim these guys back to stimulate them a bit. And again, don't watch how much I trim and then think that's how much you should trim. I am trimming based on what's alive and dead, which is kind of hard to see in the video. So yeah, just trim back until you get to a good white core, if that makes sense to you, if you've trimmed roots and know what their inner cores look like. This one took a ways to get back to its white core there, but I think you can see that's a big enough one on the video that I think you can see. So these guys I'm going to call good for now. These are the ones that had bloomed, and they're feeling pretty soft. I am not certain if these guys are gonna make it or not, because they're not feeling like they have any new growth starting down here. However, they just bloomed, so they could just be a little late working on their new growth. So of course we never give up on these guys. And of course we don't want to cut off roots that are beautiful and healthy, but we don't want a false sense of security, thinking that we have a good healthy root that's gonna go for us when in reality we have more of a cutting. All right, we're down to healthy white. We're down to healthy white on this root. Sorry, I'm getting out of the camera a little bit, but I think it's too difficult really to see what I'm doing anyways. So I am... Yeah, we're good there. These roots are dead, as sad as that is, but this one is live and happy, happy, happy. And he's getting a little baby, right? A new set of leaves right in there, which is exciting. So is this guy. Gonna trim here. Just trying to get back to this main root and see if it's alive, because that's where I'm concerned. Yep, we're good. So that guy's staying where he is. And the last one, which is also, as you can see, bursting through with a new baby. So all this is getting soft and spongy. There was a question in our Facebook group today where someone, I'm going to go back and look and try and answer it, but I thought I would just mention it here, where someone was posting pictures of very sad collapsed lithops and asking what they did wrong. And the truth is that with these guys, if they have been stressed before you own them, So like with these, if these guys were too stressed during blooming, which is really, they still need water and they still need some care and nutrition because they're putting a ton of energy into blooming. If they didn't get proper care during that time, they did not have enough reserves most likely to form a new set of leaves. So these leaves are just going to continue on, and then suddenly they're just going to collapse and die. And it's going to look like, oh no, what did I do wrong? Even when I didn't do anything wrong. And so keep that in mind. Everyone has these guys die. They're just, they're a little bit finicky, and especially if you haven't had them, if you've had them for, you know, an entire life cycle, then yes, whatever's happening may very well be your fault, and you may very well have done something wrong. But if they're new and you don't know how they were treated prior to coming to you, you know, really it's just something to chalk up to learning and trying new things. And sometimes the plants just weren't healthy when they came to you. So try not to be too hard on yourselves when you're new with these guys and getting new stock, because a lot of times it is our faults because we overwater or something like that. But a lot of times it isn't, because these guys, if they do not, because there's only one set of leaves every year, if they don't have the energy at the right time to put out that new set of leaves, then they're just, and their roots aren't active or alive, they're just going to die. And so what I would suggest, if your plant is not putting out a new set of leaves, is to pull it up and check the roots. And if the roots are dead, it's probably just a goner, and it's going to last until it just slowly dies and gives up on you. But if the roots are gone and you find out soon enough, you can treat them. Lithops aren't quite as good as with cuttings as conophytums are, at least from what I've seen. But you can sometimes trim the roots and prune up some of the dead stuff and stimulate some new growth before it's too late. So if you have one that you catch, you know, like this guy that just doesn't seem to be super happy, pull it up and check and trim the roots if they're not having new roots growing. And if you don't know what that looks like, I just did a video on conophytum and some of my sad ones and showing some of the new root growth. That might be a good example for you. Or yeah, just maybe unpot a few of your other succulents and look at their new root growth. I'm going to pull this guy out and see if he'll show us kind of what I'm thinking of. This was a plug that a nursery put in this little 2-inch pot not long ago, and I thought maybe it would show us some new. Nope, the new roots aren't big enough to be real visible, but they usually look like really hairy, fine white threads. And oh, there's some up here, but I don't think the camera's gonna quite pick those up. Get these dried leaves out from around it while I'm used to it. You might can see, but they're really fine little white hairs, and that's what you want to see coming out of your lithop, the base of your lithops or conophytum or whatever it is that you're working on. And so if you see that, great. Just baby it and leave it alone. If you see no evidence of new root growth, prune it. That's a really good way to stimulate new growth. And I know it seems scary, like I said, but you really don't have a lot to lose if your plant looks like it's dying anyways. Yeah, so if you're at the right time of year where they should be producing a new set of leaves, and you've waited and they aren't, and they're just not doing anything but shriveling, check their roots, give them a quick little snip, and see where you can go from there. All right, I've got these guys in this pot. 3 of them have new leaves that are coming up. This guy, I'm not sure what he's doing. These three are pretty soft. I'm gonna give these guys a little bit of a drink in a mix this loose. These guys will be fine. And because of all the stress that they've had, I don't mind them getting a tiny bit of moisture because I want their root hairs to start growing and they need something to grow towards. So I don't want to really wet these guys per se, but having a little bit of moisture around so that their roots go, oh, we can start growing again. Is what I want. So that's going to be what I'm doing now, and I probably will end up taking these guys out of this pot in a couple weeks. But for now, I'm going to put them all together and see how they do. All right, that's it for these guys. I will give you an update on them and let you know if these bloomers ended up perking up or not. So I'm curious to see, but their stem looks really great where it's attached, and we should get some new root growth pretty soon, hopefully. But time will tell. All right, you guys, I hope that was helpful for some of you growing lithops and potting them up. I will talk to you guys soon, and happy growing.